welcome to your deep dive today.
Oh, cool.
We're going to be tackling small cap stocks.
Right.
And their potential for growth in 2025.
Okay.
Specifically, we'll be focusing on the Vanguard Russell 2000 ETF.
Mm-hmm.
That's VTWO.
Okay.
And examining whether or not it's poised for a stellar year.
Gotcha.
We'll be using an article from the Motley Fool as our roadmap.
Okay.
It's titled Trump and Interest Rates.
Yeah.
The two key reasons this Vanguard ETF could thrive in 2025.
Interesting.
Okay, let's jump right in.
Sounds good.
So,
Yeah.
before we get ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
I think it's important to understand what the Russell 2000 Index is.
Yeah, definitely.
Someone who's used to hearing about, big name companies like in the S&P 500 or whatever.
Right.
What makes the Russell 2000 stand out?
Yeah, so the Russell 2000 is interesting because it focuses on 2,000 small cap companies.
Okay.
Think of them as kind of like the up-and-comers, with a ton of growth potential.
Mm-hmm.
They might not be household names yet,
Yeah.
but that's where the opportunity lies.
Gotcha.
And that's where VTWO comes in.
Okay.
It's an ETF that lets you invest in the entire Russell 2000 index.
Nice.
So essentially, you get diversified exposure to this, very exciting segment of the market.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So instead of me trying to pick individual small cap winners,
Exactly.
I can just invest in the whole basket with VTWO.
That's the idea.
That's awesome.
And there's another perk.
Oh, there's more.
It has a super low expense ratio
Okay.
of just 0.1%.
Wow.
Which is significantly lower than the 0.99% average you'd find with similar ETFs.
Nice.
So this means more of your money is working for you,
Yeah.
not going towards fees.
That's what I like to hear.
Right.
So we've got this ETF that offers, a low-cost way to tap into the growth potential of 2,000 small-cap companies.
Exactly.
But what makes VTWO particularly promising in 2025?
Well, the Motley Fool article points to two major factors.
Okay.
First is the Trump administration's focus on boosting American businesses, particularly in the manufacturing sector.
You're right.
Trump has proposed some pretty enticing incentives for companies that keep production within the U.S., including a significantly lower tax rate of 15%
Nice.
compared to the standard 21% corporate tax rate.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
So are you saying that companies within VTWO stand to benefit directly from these policies?
Many of them do.
Okay.
And it's not just about tax breaks.
Oh.
Trump is also planning to impose tariffs on goods imported from countries like China, Mexico, and Canada.
Right.
This could potentially create a more favorable playing field for U.S.-based companies, making their products more competitive on the global stage.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
But wouldn't those same tariffs potentially hurt companies that rely on imported materials?
That's a good question, and it's something to think about for sure.
Yeah.
While some companies within VTWO might face challenges with increased input costs due to tariffs, others could benefit from reduced competition from foreign companies.
Yeah.
So it's a complex equation with,
Right.
potential winners and losers.
Mm.
But remember, the key here is diversification.
Okay.
VTWO's holdings are spread across 11 different sectors,
Okay.
with industrials, financials, and healthcare being the top three.
Right.
We were talking about diversification earlier.
Right, not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
But even within those sectors, how confident are we that enough companies will actually benefit from these policies to really move the needle for VPWO as a whole?
It's not just a matter of individual companies benefiting.
Okay.
The idea is that these policies could stimulate overall economic growth within the U.S.,
Okay.
creating a rising tide that lifts all boats,
Right.
including small cap companies.
I see.
And remember, history offers a pretty compelling precedent here.
Okay.
When Trump was first elected in 2016, VTWO saw a gain of 13.2% in his first year in office.
Oh, wow. So could history repeat itself?
It's certainly possible.
That's an intriguing thought.
Yeah.
But even with these pro-business policies in place, isn't there still a lot of uncertainty in the market?
Oh, for sure.
What about factors outside of Trump's control that could impact small cap growth?
Absolutely. There are always external factors at play.
Right.
And that brings us to the second key reason
Okay.
why VTWO might be poised for a strong 2025.
I'm listening.
Falling interest rates.
Okay, this is where I need a little refresher.
Okay, sure.
Like Economics 101.
All right.
Why are falling interest rates such a big deal, especially for small cap companies?
So small cap companies being in a growth phase often rely on borrowing
Right.
to fund their expansion. When interest rates are high,
Yeah.
their borrowing costs go up, which can eat into their profits and hinder their ability to grow.
Okay.
But when interest rates fall,
Like getting a discount on your business loan, right?
you got it.
Suddenly, expansion and growth become more affordable.
Exactly.
Except-
And this is where VTWO's composition becomes really interesting.
Right.
A whopping 38% of Russell 2000 companies
Okay.
carry debt with floating interest rates,
Wow.
compared to just 6% for S&P 500 companies.
Okay, so a big difference.
Huge.
Yeah.
This means that when the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates,
Mm-hmm.
as they are projected to do twice in 2025,
Okay.
small cap companies within VTWO stand to benefit disproportionately.
Right.
Their borrowing costs will go down,
Yeah.
freeing up more capital for growth
Right.
and making them more attractive to investors.
So it sounds like we have a potentially powerful combination here.
Yeah.
Pro-business policies are giving American companies a boost,
Mm-hmm.
and falling interest rates are making it cheaper for them to grow.
Exactly.
And VTWO,
Yes,
with its diverse portfolio of small-cap companies, is in a prime position to ride this wave.
absolutely.
But before we get carried away,
Yeah.
let's take a closer look at some of the specific companies that make up VTWO's holdings. Because after all, the real story lies in the individual businesses that are driving its growth.
It all comes down to the companies.
Okay, let's meet some of these small-cap stars.
Right.
I'm curious to see who's leading the charge.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's pull back the curtain and take a peek inside VTWO.
Okay.
Who are some of the key players in this ETF?
Well, one company that stands out is Sprouts Farmers Market.
Sprouts.
Yeah.
Huh?
They operate over 400 grocery stores across 23 states.
Wow.
Focusing on fresh organic produce
Mm-hmm.
and healthy living products.
Okay, Sprouts.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually shop there sometimes.
MA.
Their produce section is amazing.
It's great.
But how does a grocery chain fit into this whole
Right.
pro-business falling interest rates narrative?
That's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
So remember, Trump's policies are aimed at boosting domestic production.
Right.
And Sprouts sources a significant portion of its produce from American farmers.
Okay.
As tariffs make imported goods more expensive, consumers might increasingly turn to domestic options,
Okay.
potentially benefiting companies like Sprouts.
So it's not just about manufacturing then.
Right.
It's about supporting American businesses across various sectors.
Precisely.
Okay.
And on the interest rate front,
Mm-hmm.
Sprouts, like many growing companies, uses debt financing for expansion.
Right.
Lower interest rates could make it easier for them to open new stores and increase their market share.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
What other companies are worth highlighting?
Another interesting one is Vaxcyte.
Vaxcyte?
Yeah, it's a California-based biopharmaceutical company
Okay.
focused on developing vaccines for infectious diseases.
Okay. Vaccines are definitely a hot topic these days,
For sure.
especially with all the recent concerns about global pandemics and stuff.
Right.
But isn't healthcare a highly regulated industry?
It is.
How would Trump's pro-business policies impact a company like Vaxcyte?
Well, while healthcare is indeed a heavily regulated sector,
Mhm.
Trump's administration has been pushing for deregulation in various areas,
Okay.
including pharmaceuticals.
Right.
This could potentially streamline the approval process for new drugs and vaccines,
Okay.
benefiting companies like Vaxcyte.
Interesting. So even in a complex industry like healthcare,
Yeah,
there could be some ripple effects from
Yeah.
these policies.
absolutely.
Okay.
And let's not forget about the impact of falling interest rates.
Right.
Developing new drugs and vaccines requires significant capital investment.
Yeah.
And lower borrowing costs could give Vaxcyte more financial flexibility to pursue its research and development goals.
All right. So we've got a grocery chain potentially benefiting from increased demand for domestic products,
Right.
and a biopharmaceutical company poised to capitalize on deregulation and lower borrowing costs.
Exactly.
Any other standout players in VTWO's portfolio?
Let's look at Applied Industrial Technologies.
Applied Industrial Technologies.
Yeah. They are a distributor of bearings, transmission products, and other industrial supplies.
Okay.
They serve a wide range of industries,
Mhm.
including manufacturing, mining, and energy.
Okay, now this one sounds like it fits squarely into the Trump and interest rates theme.
It does.
Yeah.
Applied Industrial Technologies supplies essential components to American manufacturers.
Okay.
If those manufacturers ramp up production in response to Trump's policies,
Yeah.
demand for applied industrial products could surge.
It's like a chain reaction,
Yeah,
with each policy change potentially triggering growth in unexpected areas.
It really highlights the interconnectedness of the economy.
Right.
And of course, falling interest rates would make it easier for Applied Industrial Technologies to manage its inventory
Okay.
and finance its operations, further boosting its growth prospects.
It's fascinating to see how these seemingly unrelated policy changes can have such a widespread impact on various businesses.
It is pretty fascinating.
So we've got a grocery chain, a vaccine developer,
Yeah.
an industrial supplier.
Right.
All potentially benefiting from this favorable economic environment.
Exactly.
It's starting to paint a pretty compelling picture for VTWO.
It is.
But let's not forget, every investment comes with risks.
Of course.
What are some potential downsides or challenges that investors should be aware of?
That's a crucial question.
Yeah.
While the potential for growth is exciting,
Right.
it's important to approach any investment with a balanced perspective. One potential risk with small cap stocks in general is their volatility.
Yeah.
They tend to be more sensitive to market fluctuations than larger, more established companies.
So if the market takes a downturn,
Yeah.
small caps could feel the pain more acutely.
Exactly. And even with pro-business policies in place,
Right.
there's always a chance that things don't pan out as expected.
Right. We can't predict the future.
Exactly.
What about competition?
Yeah.
If all these small cap companies are suddenly experiencing a growth spurt,
Right.
won't that lead to a more crowded playing field?
You're right. Increased competition is always a factor to consider.
Yeah.
Not every company within VTWO will necessarily thrive.
Okay.
Some might struggle to adapt, innovate, or keep up with the pace of change.
So it's not just about riding the wave.
Right.
It's about picking the right companies that can actually navigate the challenges
Exactly.
and capitalize on the opportunities.
For sure.
It's a dynamic environment.
It is. And speaking of dynamics,
Okay.
we haven't even touched on another crucial aspect.
Oh.
The interplay between small cap performance and broader market trends.
You mean how VTWO's performance might be influenced by what's happening in the overall stock market?
Exactly. We've been focusing on the factors that could specifically benefit VTWO.
Right.
But it's important to remember that it's part of a larger ecosystem.
So even if all the stars seem aligned for small caps,
Right.
a broader market downturn could still drag VTWO down.
Unfortunately, that's always a possibility. No investment is immune to market forces.
Right.
But that's where diversification comes in again. Okay. VTWO's broad exposure to various sectors helps mitigate the impact of any single sector's underperformance.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
We've got this exciting potential for small cap growth driven by pro-business policies and falling interest rates. But we also need to be mindful of the risks,
Right.
including volatility,
Yeah.
competition, and the unpredictable nature of the market.
For sure.
It's a balancing act, isn't it?
It is, and that's what makes investing both challenging and rewarding.
So where does this leave our listener
Yeah.
who's trying to make sense of all this information?
Well, that's a great segue into the next part of our deep dive,
Okay.
where we'll explore the historical performance of VTWO
Okay.
and try to glean some insights that might help our listener make more informed decisions.
All right, sounds good. We've covered a lot of ground, from Trump's pro-business policies and falling interest rates
Yeah.
to the specific companies driving VTWO's potential growth.
Yeah.
But now I'm curious, has VTWO actually delivered on its promise in the past?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And the answer is a resounding yes.
Okay.
Since its inception in 2010, VTWO has boasted an average annual return of 11%.
11% per year.
That's right.
That's pretty impressive,
It is.
especially when you consider that the average investor might only see returns of, 7, 8% in the broader market.
Exactly. And what's particularly noteworthy
Okay.
is that during Trump's first year in office, back in 2017, VTWO surged by 13.2%.
Wow.
Now, we can't definitively say that history will repeat itself.
Right, of course.
But given the similarities in the current political and economic landscape, it's certainly a data point worth considering.
So we've got this combination of historical performance,
Yeah.
pro-business policies, and a favorable interest rate environment, all pointing towards a potentially bright future for VTWO.
It seems that way.
But as we discussed earlier, there are also risks involved.
Right. We need to be realistic. Investing in small cap stocks, even through a diversified ETF like VTWO, comes with inherent volatility.
Right.
These companies are still in their growth phase, and their stock prices can be more sensitive to market swings.
Right.
and economic uncertainties.
So VTWO might not be the best fit for someone who's risk-averse
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
or looking for short-term gains.
Exactly. It's more suited for investors who are comfortable with a bit of a roller coaster ride
Okay.
and have a long-term investment horizon.
Yeah.
Remember, the real power of compounding returns happens over time.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Patience is key, especially when it comes to investing in growth-oriented assets.
Absolutely. And another thing to keep in mind is that while VTWO offers diversification within the small cap space, it's still a specific bet on a particular segment of the market.
Meaning that it's not a substitute for having a well-diversified portfolio across different asset classes, right?
Exactly. VTWO can be a valuable component of a diversified portfolio, but it shouldn't be the only holding.
Okay, so we've laid out all the cards on the table.
We have.
We've explored the potential, the risks, and the historical performance of VTWO.
It's all out there.
But at the end of the day, the decision of whether or not to invest is a personal one.
It really is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
what's the one key takeaway you would leave our listener with?
If you're looking for an investment that offers the potential for significant growth, is aligned with a pro-business political landscape, and benefits from falling interest rates, VTWO is certainly worth considering.
But as with any investment, it's crucial to do your own research.
Of course.
Understand the risks involved.
Definitely.
And make sure it fits into your overall investment strategy.
Absolutely. Don't just jump in blindly.
Right.
Think about your financial goals, your risk tolerance, and your investment timeline.
Okay.
And if you're unsure, it's always a good idea to consult with a financial advisor who can provide personalized guidance.
That's great advice. We've given our listener a lot to chew on today.
A lot to think about.
But ultimately, the power is in their hands, armed with the knowledge from this deep dive.
Exactly.
They can now make a more informed decision about whether or not VTWO is the right investment for them.
Hopefully, we've given them some things to consider.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe this deep dive has sparked a broader interest in the world of small cap stocks and their potential.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's an exciting corner of the market that's often overlooked.
For sure.
Absolutely. There's a whole universe of innovative and dynamic companies out there.
That's true.
Just waiting to be discovered. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time for another insightful exploration of the world of investing.